everyone, and welcome to another edition of Trans Stupid, the show where I take a look at the wonderful world of LGBTQIA+++ news because stupidity is intersectional. So we're living in quite interesting times at the moment, and if you're like me, you've probably been stuck in your house or apartment for more than a month. Thanks, Comrade G, but despite all of that, the wackiness that comes out of the LGBT community is still happening, and there's a couple of things that I have to talk about this week. So that's why there is a new episode of Trans Stupid, and I'm going to be starting with a character which I'm not sure whether you might have heard of. This thing, Jessica Yaniv, who I talked about in a video just a couple of weeks ago and have talked about quite a lot over the last year, has been in some further drama, and there's something which I need to highlight about this. So just to kind of fill you in on what has happened over the last month or so, Yaniv started chatting to a young girl who went by the name of Ray-Jen. Now, Ray was 16 years old. Yaniv was aware of Ray's age. Ray started to follow Yaniv back in November of 2019, but decided to reach out to Yaniv as a way of trying to catch Yaniv out. Having spoke to Ray myself, she told me that she was hoping to try and get some evidence to throw Yaniv in jail. She said that she is quite frustrated with how slow things have been going with the police, and she wanted to do her part. So she reached out to Yaniv, and it didn't take long for quite a weird mix of flirting to begin, coming exclusively from Yaniv himself. So this involved the general kind of cringiness that one would expect to come from Yaniv. This includes talks about tampons.
As we're talking about COVID-19. Anyways.
Oh my god, you just said like tampon there, hello. Oh my god. Yeah, but like, oh my god, like you need to help me like with shopping and such for that kind of stuff, because I'm like clueless at like what's like I have stumps, but I'm like clueless at like what's the best, because like wasn't ever able to use them properly. So I'm like, I need your help with that. Like, what does a girl get?
Really creepy videos done in the bath, pictures of bras. A lot of it is quite disturbing, and there is quite a lot of very, very creepy videos that Ray captured and then uploaded onto the internet.
I mean, plug your pussy up. You're not going to be in isolation for like years. You don't need to worry. And you can always just go commando and just let that shit just flow out.
I got my Livia. It's like the cramp remover, because I got really bad cramps right now, and this is gonna solve that problem. I'm like in so much joy. Yes, I'm like, I'm suffering, and I'm calling my doctor, and I'm like, stop this pain, and I'm like, yes, oh yes. I'm like the most happiest girl in the world right now. But I could be happier, you know.
Now, this all kind of came to a head just a couple of days ago when Ray spoke to other YouTubers about what had been going on, and pretty soon Yaniv was exposed again. Yaniv then apparently made her feel quite guilty as to what had happened, saying that he felt very betrayed, and then we end up with the situation that we are in now. So just to kind of make that clear, Yaniv was talking to a 16-year-old girl about various disturbing topics that an adult should not be talking about with someone of that age. A lot of conversations about genitals, a lot of conversations about periods and tampons. It is quite disturbing reading, and a lot of those videos, as you've seen, are quite creepy. Now, it should be noted that the age of consent in Canada, where Yaniv lives, is 16. And furthermore, the state in which Ray told Yaniv she lives in also has an age of consent of 16. So from a legal point of view, I don't think it's likely that Yaniv could be found to be doing anything wrong. However, that doesn't change the morality in what has happened. You have someone at a very young age who is quite quickly being taken advantage of by someone more than double her age. Someone who we know has had a bit of a track record with doing this kind of thing, and this is yet another example of Yaniv being quite dangerous to be around, really. So what is it that makes this particularly more newsworthy than anything else that I've talked about when it comes to Yaniv? Well, being honest, the message that I really kind of want to get across here more than anything is that I would really strongly discourage anyone from contacting Yaniv in this way. Now, Ray is lucky that she is kind of as resilient as she was, but she only contacted Yaniv after speaking with 2 or 3 of her own friends. Her parents weren't really aware, and for many reasons they didn't meet up, although Yaniv did kind of hint a couple of times that he would go and visit her. She only made her mum aware of what was happening after this all kind of came to a head. Now, it can be very dangerous to contact someone who is highly suspected of being a predator. Yaniv especially, because there is a long track record of Yaniv acting in this way. When Yaniv gets in touch with girls who are young, 16 or 17, there have been accusations that he spoke to even younger people in a similar way. It definitely comes across as very predatory, and whether or not Yaniv was being led on, it certainly shows that there's some sort of dodgy intent there. Yaniv is not someone who really is a safe person to be around for young people, and what I kind of want to hammer home is you could potentially be putting yourself at risk. Now, Yaniv is someone who does appear to be quite manipulative. Ray has commented that Yaniv made her feel guilty after coming out with all of this, and she even felt fairly sorry for him in the end. And whilst she has since been able to kind of walk away from that, a lot of younger people won't be in that kind of position. And don't try and think that you're one who, will be able to kind of expose Yaniv. Ray has said afterwards that she does pretty much regret contacting Yaniv, and she now discourages anyone else from doing what she did. There is kind of a level of irresponsibility in this, but I understand that Ray is someone who is quite young, and she probably wasn't thinking as much forward. But if I've got a lot of younger followers who feel like they need to act in a certain way with Yaniv, don't contact him. Stay away. He can be quite dangerous. And even if you have the images of what Yaniv looks like in your head and you're thinking there's no way that I would get anywhere near to him, there are a lot of people who have been taken advantage of by very, very repulsive men. And don't forget that that could easily be you as well. And try and stay away from him. Now, Yaniv is someone who appears to be quite easily tricked. It kind of gives off Christian vibes almost, where Yaniv seems to be very eager to follow up with any kind of attention that's shown to him from people who are claiming to be young girls, or even if they are just young girls themselves. And that kind of gullibility in someone like Christian might come across as like a little bit funny, but with Yaniv, everything is disturbing. So please don't try and contact Yaniv. Leave him be with this. This kind of thing is not going to get Yaniv thrown in jail. I share everyone's frustration that Yaniv is still free and being able to go around when it's clear that he's a threat, but that we have to allow the authorities to take their time with this, and don't try and be the hero to expose him, because it's probably not going to work out in the way that you think. So the next story that I want to talk about is one that's a little bit closer to home. Now, this is Darren Grimes. He is a young conservative activist who became quite prominent during the Brexit referendum and the debates thereafter. He is also gay, and that's important for me to highlight because of the direction which the story went. So, just a day or two ago, Darren decided to tweet out this video that was pulled from TikTok about how many genders there are. So this is the video.
Oh, it's low. Wow, look at that.
Now, the video itself is fairly harmless as far as I'm concerned, and I know a lot of my viewers will think the same way. Like, yes, there are only two genders, but then naturally, in current year, you've got a young gay man saying something, and it seems to go against the grain, and yeah, the queer wolves were out for blood. According to Pink News, Brexiteer Darren Grimes, a gay man who really should know better, thinks it's funny to invalidate gender identities. The political commentator shared an anti-trans TikTok video that parodies the game show Pointless, with numbers appearing on the screen counting down from 500 to 2. Grimes shared the video and wrote, "When somebody asks me how many genders there are," along with a crying, laughing emoji. Author and editor Jack Powell shared Grimes' tweet and wrote, "What is this obsession with dragging down already vulnerable people?" Darren replied, "Mate, hiding truth and fact from the vulnerable is the real unkindness. There are only two genders. That is an immutable fact." Meanwhile, another Twitter user accused him of essing on minorities and jokingly said Grimes is taking on the elite and powerful by attacking trans and non-binary people. When another Twitter user said the tweet was weak and feeble, Grimes insisted that his views are objective truth. He later claimed in a follow-up tweet, "It's incredible to see people who describe themselves as liberal tweeting my employer to accuse me of being transphobic for pointing out that sex is an immutable fact and you're either born male or female. Shows how so-called liberalism is now morally bankrupt, denying truth." The Conservative pundit is facing backlash over the video. His Wikipedia page was subsequently amended by a contributor to say Darren is also a well-known transphobe and does not understand the difference between sex and gender. Now that is, he's finished at that point, isn't he? Contrary to what Grimes believes, there are actually many gender identities. Yes, more than two, and gender does not always line up with the sex a person is assigned at birth. And then Pink News mentioned a couple of LGBT groups who believe that there are plenty of genders to go round. Now, what was quite interesting about this as well is that the LGBT conservatives group also spent all of yesterday really slamming Darren for daring to put out this kind of view, which I find a little bit uncomfortable. He is free to make the assertion, and the correct assertion in my opinion, that there are only two genders. But there's two kind of weird takeaways from this, and it's the reason why I wanted to talk about it. First of all, there's quite a big emphasis in Pink News' article on how Darren is a conservative and a Brexiteer. In fact, they mention a case that Darren was involved in a number of years ago where he was fined £20,000. That was later overturned. But they kind of mention this as a way of dirtying his name. The gay press, in particular the likes of Pink News, are fairly hostile to conservatives and those on the right, or even centrists. They like to paint everyone who voted for Brexit or the Conservatives as self-hating, as homophobic or anything along those lines, and to really kind of emphasize the fact that he is a Brexiteer, a nasty Brexiteer, that is intentional. That is a way of making you already think, oh, whoever he says it's bound to be nasty, and then putting it in the head that, like, well, yeah, those dirty Brexiteers only think that there are two genders, aren't they disgusting? But it's weird that you have these kinds of articles which are simply attacking people for wrongthink. I think that Darren actually does a really good job as a young conservative, so as someone who kind of puts out that you can be gay and conservative and young. And I think he's part of a line of young conservative commentators in the UK, which is quite good to see. What is really kind of disturbing with this, though, is the whole way in which they're trying to point out that if you disagree with the idea that there are any more than two genders, then, it's not only is it completely wrong think, but you do kind of deserve to have your employers contacted to call you to get you fired. You do deserve to be branded as a transphobe, as a hateful, as a bigot. But Pink News doesn't really tell us exactly what the right answer is. How many genders are there? Again, the likes of the Human Rights Council and Mermaids don't tell you exactly how many genders there are. So if they can't really give a definitive answer, then why is it wrong for Darren to do so? Why can we not say how many genders there are? I mean, why, if this is so hateful, why can't we be told this is exactly what the correct answer is? I mean, Granted, if you give a correct answer there, you're going to leave out a lot of those genders, and that might be a little bit mean. What's really disturbing, though, is the fact that they censor on the fact that Darren is gay, and therefore he must have the right opinion on how many genders there are, that gay people cannot question the radical trans narrative, that there are more genders than there are Pokemon. The truth is that even trans people are fairly split on whether there are only 2 genders or whether there are tens of thousands of them. The implication that because you're LGBT, you must therefore be conditioned to think in a certain way is something that shouldn't really rub well with anyone. They are effectively telling you that you can only have one view if you are LGBT. They quite specifically picked on Darren here as an example of, if you're gay, don't you dare question us, because you should know better for some reason, as though the LGB and the T must agree on everything. It is quite scary how they kind of run these articles and really try and grind people down. And yeah, this was a pretty rough situation for someone who's already had quite a rough few couple of years. Now, the last story that I want to talk about this week involves a trans woman who lives in Turkey, originally from Morocco. Her name is Sophia Toloni. She was quite a big star on Instagram, you could say, with over 500,000 followers. Now, she was originally from Morocco and moved over to Turkey at some point. And the reason why I'm talking about her is because she did something incredibly dangerous, and that is to encourage her fans to basically hunt down gay men using apps such as Grindr. According to Out magazine, gay men in Morocco are living in fear following calls by an Instagram influencer to out them using dating apps like Grindr and Planet Romeo, according to Insider. Many in the local community report of friends disappearing after being outed and even suffering death by suicide. Sophia Toloni, a trans Moroccan expatriate now living in Turkey, used an Instagram live feed last Monday to encourage women in her home country to place fake ads and create profiles on gay dating apps to identify and out gay men living in their communities. Instagram deleted her account on Friday. She said, "These apps will show you the people who are near to you, 100 meters, 200 meters, even just 1 meter, just next to you in the living room. Since everyone is together at home, it could show you your husband in your bedroom. It could show you your son who might be in the bathroom." Same-sex sexual relations are illegal in Morocco, punishable by a fine of up to 3 years in prison. Equally concerning to gay men, though, are the ostracization and physical danger that can result from being outed in a deeply religious and conservative society. Now, following Toloni's videos, a flood of cis straight men as well as women began making profiles and sharing the information of the queer men they found on apps. There have been reports of violence as well as reported death by suicide. Local LGBTQ plus groups were quick to sound the alarm. Now, I will admit I don't know a lot about Toloni. Doing some research for this video did kind of find a few of her videos. I'm not sure whether these are the exact ones that are being put in question. However, it does kind of make out that she is pretty anti-gay.
هي تكون عندها مسؤولية، الجمعية تكون عندها مسؤولية، الجمعية اللي غتحد من انتشار الشذوذ الجنسي في المغرب، الجمعية اللي غتحد من انتشار الشذوذ الجنسي في المغرب، ماشي جمعية كتساهم في الشذوذ الجنسي. اويلي كتساهم في الشذوذ الجنسي. ايوا الجمعيه ملي تقول لك ايوا نهار السبت عندنا حفله جيبي معاك اللوابه، كتمشي انت كتقلبي على الدراري واخا ماشي لوابه كتقول غير يلا غير يلا راه غيعطونا الماكله غيعطونا الحلوى والعصير. انا حضرت ليهم، ديت معايا ناس ماشي لوابه، علاش؟ باش نديهم ياكلوا الحلوى ويشربوا العصير ويعطوهم خناضه. ولكن انت ملي كتجي كايتيرون كتشوف داك اللوابه كتخلط في داك الدومين، انت كتولي انت لوبيا. لا بس حبيبتي المشكله انه اللي مهاجمني مو رجال ابدا، مو رجال مثليين جنسيا، او حتى لو حاط دقن مثلا في الفيسبوك او الانستغرام لما بتشوفهم حاطين دقن، هذا مو رجال، لا تفكروا انهم رجال، هذو مثليين جنسيا مقهورين مني لانه مثليه جنسيه مثلهم، بس انا واصله عليهم.
So why is it that she did this exactly? Is this the case of a radical gender activist who just hates gay men so much that she's going on the attack? Well, no. See, she's also targeted trans people as well. There's a particular video going around of her having a conversation with a trans man where she insists that he isn't a man because he has a vagina.
يلا انت بنت
انت بنت.
ما تبقايش تقول لي انت، انا ما تبقايش تقول لي انت.
واخا انت كنتي
غلط
بنت،
سيري معاكم.
ملي جيتي
يلا.
لتركيا عطاوك الهرمونات وكبرت لك اللحيه.
ولكن انا هذا الشيء ماشي جيت لتركيا، انا هذا الشيء لقيته في تركيا لان كاين الحقوق ديالهم، فهمتي. انا هذا الشيء في المغرب، ولكن ما كاينش المساعده، كاين الحبس. انا ديجا ضربت الحبس على دريه في المغرب.
علاش؟
لقاوني انا وياه ضربت الحبس، داروا لي هاتك عرض قاصر دون العنف، يلا الشذوذ الجنسي، 3 تهمات في مين في واحد.
واخا ودابا غتسنى بلا ما تبقى تخربق لي راسي، انا عارفك انت راجل.
ما تطربقش لك راسك، شي دوي معاك منطقيا،
انت
انت دوي وانا ندوي.
واخا باسبور ديالك.
Now, we should note in that video the trans man does mention that he was arrested due to having sex with a minor, but it's not clear in the context as to whether that could be a trumped up charge, whether that was something that he actually did. So I'm not really going to comment on that bit any more further. But it's kind of strange how this trans woman has referred to herself as a gay man in some of the videos, so it's not clear whether she should be calling her a man or a woman or anything like that. She's incredibly hostile to gay men, she's incredibly hostile to other trans people as well, and yet she has enough followers on the likes of Instagram to stir people up to then put gay men in Morocco in serious danger. It's incredibly weird mental gymnastics where she seems to be saying that she calls herself a gay man, but every other gay man but her is a degenerate who needs to be hunted down. Thankfully, she's now disappeared from the platform, and whilst I believe that there have been a few attempts by her to attempt to come up and we might see a bit more of her in the future, this is a quite scary individual that I kind of wanted to highlight, and my thoughts are with the gay men in Morocco who have now been put at serious risk as a result of this lunatic. What do you think of the stories I've talked about this week? Is there anything in particular I've missed out? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe, like this video, and also hit the notification button. You can support me on Patreon and Subscribestar as well, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you all once again, and I'll see you all next time. And a special thanks to Alex Meadows, Alyssa Morris, Casey Adolphson, Dan Norman, Fenella Cooney, Glesley Lever, Holly Mahone, James C. George, Janine Karen, Jess, Joe, Kim Vandry, Latin Creature, Lauren Manleaf, Moy Felicita, Ricardo Jose, Steve Hendricks, Tennessee Barfly, The Poor of Rizzo, Traname Girl, Zoe, Illiterati, Stephen Hansen, Laisha, James UK, and the rest of my supporters on Patreon and Subscribestar.